The budgetary orientation document is examined in committee at the National Assembly as government says the exchange mechanism with Parliament is vital to better the quality of the budgetary execution. Health workers continue to reminisce about the raise in their retirement age to 60 and 55. It will spur them to work and to check the brain drain in the public health sector. The COVID-19 pandemic ignites the designing of state-of-the-art equipment which promotes video conferencing and other protective gadgets to keep the population safe and the virus at bay. And thanks for joining us. Those were the headlines of the 7:30 News.
Each of us must comply with the measures that have been taken.
Thanks for watching the 7:30 News. The 2021-2023 midterm economic and budgetary program of Cameroon, outlined in the budgetary orientation debate document, has been examined by the Finance and Budget Committee of the National Assembly. It was defended by the Minister of Finance, Louis-Paul Motaze, who underscored that the budgetary debate is essential in the involvement of elected representatives in economic policies. Charles Ebune reports that government took the engagement to consider the modifications made by the lawmakers.
10:45 a.m. today, Finance Minister Louis-Paul Motaze enters into the conference room of the 20-man Budget and Finance Committee of the National Assembly for an expansively conversation on the budgetary guidelines mechanism.
It has been a little bit long because we have spent more than 4 or 5 hours. That means that the parliamentarians are committed to participating more than in the past in the definition of the main aspects of the budget of the Republic.
The committee chaired by Honorable Rosette Ayayi seeks to understand the state's next 3 years economic outlook, from which next year's state budget will be prepared as detailed by the government.
What we have done today is to listen to them. We told them what we want to do, what the Prime Minister has decided to do, and they gave us some other ideas, and those ideas will be taken into consideration.
Accompanied by the Minister for Parliamentary Affairs, Francois Boulvin Ouattara, and their close collaborators, Finance Minister Louis-Paul Motaze explained the niceties of the 105-page document from the government bench, serving as the forecast future for Cameroon's monetary, economic and business environments within a mutating global market.
This debate is a moment for the government and the parliamentarians to discuss. What should we do for next year? What should we do for the next years?
Today's parliamentary activity meets the legal vision of 2018 promulgated laws, making it imperative for the government to engage with Parliament on budget preparation before the finance law is worked out.
The wave of reactions to the presidential decree raising the retirement age of civil servants of the public sector continues in the Northwest region, with health workers having to brave the security threats for the past 3 years and now the deadly coronavirus. The extension of their duration in service has been applauded. Details in this report by Winston Lebga.
They say that they spend about 7 years to graduate as general practitioners, plus an additional 4 years to become specialists. So by the time doctors leave school, they are generally older than their counterparts in other professions. Some of those who've applauded the decision to extend the retirement age of the medical corps compare it to wine that gets better with age.
These doctors were going on retirement just when their skills were so refined that they could not only provide provide better care to patients, but also pass on the skills to younger ones.
At the Delegation for Public Health, there is optimism that the huge brain drain suffered by the Corps will be reduced.
I see another aspect, which is that of improvement in the financial motivation. This is going to encourage health personnel to stay back home and actually save the lives of Cameroonians rather than rushing abroad for greener pastures.
Critics in the Northwest now expect the quality of healthcare delivery in the region to remarkably improve.
The health personnel in the North region say the extension of their retirement age is an element that will benefit the public sector that had hitherto lost its talents to private hospitals. They applaud the gesture taken by the head of state, which depicts a recognition of their sacrifice at work. Wilson Mengole tells us more.
The decision to raise the retirement age of civil servants in the public health corps in Cameroon has been received with joy by those in the sector and the population in general, who say it is a recognition of the sacrifices of medical personnel. It's a measure that was highly awaited, and I think medical personnel will be happy that the retirement age has been increased. While hailing the decision, the people also wish for an extension of those in other sectors. When we go on retirement early, the private sector benefits a lot. With the increase on the retirement age, the state will benefit a lot with the experience of the medical personnel. The population of the North region believes the extension of retirement age in this category of persons is a pat on the back, and officials of the medical corps should rise onto the occasion and give the people the real deal.
Away from the health sector, security and diplomatic officials have been trained on how to secure recruitments for peacekeeping missions. The police and paramilitary forces who attended the coaching at the Ministry of External Relations hailed the course essential in their career and outputs. Charles Ebune has the details.
Tasked to keep the peace, military, paramilitary and police officers constantly renew skills through refresher courses to meet global and local security exigencies.
It's a training that is aimed at preparing Cameroonians to become competitive when it comes to recruiting into international public service in general, and more specifically when it comes to recruiting in peacekeeping missions.
The training, organized by the Ministry of External Relations to upgrade their talents in peacekeeping missions, seeks to better their recruitment portfolio for such duties worldwide.
An opportunity for the various seminarists or participants to be drilled on the various questions that could be asked when they will be interviewed and how prepared they could be.
According to the trainers, such education enables them to perfectly master the field work for each deployment, either regional, continental, or global.
Participants are essentially from the peace and security-related structures of a country, like you have from the General Delegation of National Security, from the Gendarmerie, and from the military itself. And you also have those who from the civilian side.
The participants also included law enforcement officials like magistrates who handle cases dealing with issues like terrorism, war crimes, and other issues related to peacekeeping.
The management accounts of the International Relations Institute of Cameroon has been examined and adopted. During a steering committee meeting, the members deliberated on the functioning of the institution and planned for subsequent academic years. The session was presided over by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of the Commonwealth, Felix Mbayu. Sidonie Jobmandi attended the session and now reports.
Scrutinizing the accounts of the International Relations Institute of Cameroon (IRIC) for the 2019-2020 financial year, a variety of issues relating to the proper management of the institution were raised.
The principal resolution, as I said, is the adoption of the management account budget. The budget of ERIC has been approved.
Chaired by the Minister Delegate to the Minister of External Relations in charge of relations with the Commonwealth, Felix Mbayu, the budget for 2020 has witnessed an increase. This will facilitate the proper management of the institution.
We increased a little bit our budget this year because of good management. You know, even though we are in the context of COVID, but we did a lot of effort internally to improve our budget with our local and domestic resources. So this budget serves in the promotion of research, teaching, and the facilitating of work in school.
Okay. The members of the steering committee saluted the achievements made so far in ERIC, notably infrastructural development and training in a variety of disciplines. Concluding the deliberations, the members resolved to speed up the rehabilitation project scheduled before the end of April 2021, a date that will coincide with the celebrations to commemorate the 50th anniversary of ERIC.
As announced in one of our top stories, Cameroonians are making do with the coronavirus. And not only have habits changed, protective equipment are being designed locally. There has been an array of physical distancing items produced, disinfectant dispensers and sanitation portions. Modern video conferencing material are also flooding the markets. Ewane Epole now reports on how Cameroonians are adapting to the pandemic.
Innovations that help prevent the spread of COVID-19, including healthcare worker protection equipment, are gradually being introduced in Cameroon's markets. One of such innovations are office equipment made to help respect physical distancing.
Physical distancing during the coronavirus, okay? Voilà.
Meanwhile, the latest model of video conference material are also available to facilitate the holding of seminars and meetings during this period.
We have innovative equipment to respect the physical distancing. We're talking about the video conference. We offer an innovative screen and more than 60 windows. The screen is also tactical, and you can also write on it. All of these measures are to limit the spread of COVID-19.
All these innovations are to help live with the COVID-19 pandemic, which no one knows when it will end.
The wearing of face masks in public places will be mandatory until further notice.
Although the coronavirus is claiming lives in the far north region, a good number of the inhabitants of Maru will continue to go about their daily activities without protection. The municipal authorities of the Maru Council area have decried the non-wearing of face masks and the non-respect of physical distancing in gatherings. To reverse the trend, sanitary kits were offered to the population during a sensitization campaign. Ayok Jonashu tells us more.
Among those touched by the coronavirus in the far north region are inhabitants of Marwa 1 subdivision. The mayor of the Marwa 1 council attributes this largely to negligence as more and more people go about without protective face masks, while mass gatherings are commonplace in Marwa.
Some people are now laxed in the respect of measures taken by the government to combat the coronavirus. We thought it wise to awaken them to the fact that COVID-19 is still here, and it is important to use materials offered by our council in the battle against the pandemic.
To better attain grassroots populations, religious and traditional authorities as well as opinion leaders have been told to spread the anti-COVID-19 campaign in their respective spheres. They were also given sanitary kits by the mayor of Marwa 1 to facilitate the implementation of government response strategy against the pandemic. Mayor Hamadu Hamidu also used the forum to call for greater parental care with the start of the rainy season, making allusion to the recent drowning of a 14-year-old in the River Kaliao in the heart of Marwa.
In security news, the National Gendarmerie Road Safety Task Force on its Monitor, Control and Punish campaign is focusing this weekend on the respect of COVID-19 barrier measures. The team was at the Yaoundé-Beto National Road number 10, where the systematic check of vehicles was also performed following the recent explosions of artisanal devices in some major towns. Kilian Dandifon was with the team and has the details.
Every passenger and driver on the Yaoundé-Beto National Road number 10 this weekend has gone through scanning with metal detectors in response to the recent use of explosive devices in some major towns, including Yaoundé. This must stop.
We are searching vehicles to a deeper level this time around, and that is why we use the metal detectors in searching even the backs of travelers. We try to use the metal detectors to be sure that such materials, such explosives don't pass at our level.
This comes amid the rising figures of COVID-19 in the country, caused by the disrespect of government measures by some citizens, and the gendarmerie is also out to stop them.
We make sure that there is no overloading. We also make sure that the people wear their face masks.
At the same time, the mandatory Monitor, Control and Punish road safety campaign is active.
This consists of verifying the state of vehicles that ply our routes. Then we also verify the loading of such vehicles, we verify the content, we verify the people.
Be it security, road safety or COVID-19, the National Gendarmerie is alert against defaulters.
The security threat in the northwest region, where pockets of separatist groups still terrorize inhabitants, is preoccupying the military. In an operation codenamed Ngok Bui, which stands for Ngok Tunja and Bui, the defense forces have been able to re-establish the Oku-Kumbo stretch cut off for the last 2 years. Eric Langmiawofu reports that some separatists have also been neutralized and their camps destroyed.
Armed secessionist fighters had dug trenches on this road linking Oku and Kumbo. 500 defense forces led by Colonel Mathian Chalaleng carried out an operation in Bui and Gokutunja divisions known as Ngokbui to open up this stretch.
The engineer corps opened the road to make sure that the population will move freely from Oku to Kumbo without any issues.
The operation lasted 7 days and many secessionist hideouts were destroyed.
In the Ngoketunja division, we cleared 3 camps, and in Bui we cleared many camps, among which Gengbisa, Tadu, Vekovi, etc., etc. And many Ambazonians were also neutralized.
The population is said to have helped the defense forces during this operation.
The security and defense forces are here to protect them, to secure them. And then we need collaboration to succeed this operation, because you have to win hearts and minds to the Amba boys. Let them, they have been misled, let them drop their weapons, and then it's an instruction from the head of state. You take them to the GDR, and then they come to normal life.
Similar operations to destroy secessionist hideouts have also been carried out in Taba, in Du subdivision, and Andek in Gate subdivision.
At exactly 7:50, we take our COVID-19 updates. The wearing of face masks was amongst the first measures taken by the government of Cameroon to stall the spread of the coronavirus. This is gradually being adopted by the population concerned about protecting themselves and others. However, it is still commonplace to find persons in public places without their face masks. The excuse, they say, is they can't breathe with these face masks. Emmanuel Avemnu is at the Public Health Emergency Operations Center and says it is imperative to have them on each time one steps out of home. Hello, Emmanuel.
You're very right, Esther Kima. The WHO, World Health Organization, recommended the wearing of face masks as one of the surest means to keep the spread of the coronavirus under check. The Cameroon government took this to heart, with the President of the Republic distributing thousands of face masks nationwide. Unfortunately, few Cameroonians have continued to disregard the obligatory wearing of face masks, which was made obligatory in Cameroon since the 13th of April 2020. And just to tell you that many others who are very conscious of the importance of this protective gear now refer to it as the recent identity card and do not step out into the public place without them. But what about those who keep on complaining that they can't breathe when the mask is on? We shall be talking these and more with our guest, Dr. Eric Tandy. He is the public health expert. Good evening, Doctor. It's always a pleasure to have you on the CRT.
Yeah, good evening, Emanuela.
Doctor, tell us, you work directly with Cameroonians on a daily basis to fight against this pandemic. What has been the reaction of most of these Cameroonians since the easing of measures by government to check COVID-19 in regards to the wearing of face masks, of course?
Yeah, I must say here with a very heavy heart, you know, that despite the effort the government has put in place in order to provide, the head of state even went as further to provide face masks in all municipalities in Cameroon, yet we still find resistance from some individuals or some Cameroonians, unfortunately. But then with the risks we're seeing on daily basis, this is something that is not welcoming as far as the safety of that individual and the population is concerned. Hence, I would like to urge continuously that Cameroonians should take this very, very serious, because we're not yet out from the crisis. And one of the precautions is what you and I are using, the effective use of face masks and physical distancing, of course, to associate it with other preventive measures that have been prescribed by the government, that have been prescribed by the WHO, that you and I have been using. You rightly said it is now the new identity, not only face masks, but associated preventive measures.
Doctor, tell us, there are some people who've complained that when they put on their face mask, they can hardly breathe. What should they do, or is there any recipe for those people to be able to wear their face mask and continue with their daily activities?
Yeah, I want to agree with you that some might have difficulties. You remember, this is not our culture. The use of face masks has never been our culture. But then there is one issue that we must take here very serious. Is it that you're using, have you choose the right size? Because some people use undersized face masks, and when you use this undersized, you are bound. Just imagine that you're putting on a dress that is not yours. You know, you are bound to have some effects. You feel very, very uncomfortable. But if you choose the right face mask and the right size, and then you respect all precautions, this will help. But I should make it clear here that once you're using your face mask, you could choose. If you are feeling very, very uncomfortable, you could give 30 minutes time use, and then you get yourself a little bit out from an uncrowded environment so that you could take it out. But be careful when taking it out. You should respect the real measures, you know, by taking out, by using the ropes, you get it out, and then you could take in some air, and then you feed it back. But then, if you are in a crowded environment where physical distancing, because I see a lot of people not respecting physical distancing, which is very dangerous, then you should make sure you get out from this environment so that you could breathe normally. So the first thing we need to think about is, are you using the right size? And again, if you are in an uncomfortable environment, please get out. And if you know and think that you are uncomfortable because, you know, carbon dioxide is being sent out and part of it is being taken in again in 30 minutes time, please just take yourself in an airy environment, then you take in air. And that will save all these complaints about suffocation. But it's better to have the uncomfortable or comfortable condition than to go on a respirator because of COVID-19.
Thank you very much, Dr. Eric Tanzi. Esther Kima, our viewers, just to emphasize that public health experts here during the press briefing emphasized that for those who could be able, that drinking of water, much water during the period when you're wearing face masks is highly recommended, and they should at times wet their faces with water too, that it eases respiration. And just to end by saying that they are calling on Cameroonians to be very vigilant, for negligence on the part of one person exposes the entire country to the risk of the coronavirus. Back to you, Esther.
Much, Emanuela, for those tips on how to use face masks. Face masks protect you and others from the coronavirus. And remember that if you're caught without a face mask, there is a fine to pay. Still in health, the cholera outbreak in Longi in the South region, which has affected 60 persons and claimed the lives of 12 others, is being addressed. After a two-day working visit to the Ocean Division, the governor of the South region, Felix Ngelengele, says there is an urgent need to restructure the Longi village. Cyril Nwazeke tells us more from the South.
The administrative authorities of the South region converged on Kribi to discuss on vital issues that would pave the way for a smooth development of the South region in general. The political, economic and social concern of the region were raised during the administrative and security coordination meeting chaired by the South region governor, Felix Ngelengele. The four senior divisional officers of the South region in attendance began by presenting the current situation in their areas of command. The current statistics as concerned the COVID-19 in the South region reads as well over 499 infected cases with 248 treated and 13 dead. The South region governor says stringent measures will be taken to reinforce the fight against the propagation of the pandemic.
We recommended to the administrative authority to continue to supervise the fight at the level of the administrative unit in collaboration with the health staff of the regional delegation of public health. But in the whole, the situation of security is under control in our region.
As concerns the cholera hit areas of the region, particularly in the Longi village in the ocean, that counts roughly 60 contaminated cases, the South boss say an imminent restructuring of the village is needed. The administrative and security coordination meeting chaired by the South region governor, Felix Ngelengele, was timely, given that the region is now double hit with the coronavirus and cholera diseases.
And as you must have corrected, that was Polycarp reporting in place of Cyril Nwazeke. The quality of water and energy supply to neighborhoods in the Njombe Pinja Council area will soon be improved. A convention to provide pipe-borne water and electricity to households has been signed by the council and the Plantation de Eau Pinja. The council has also received logistics from the French banana company for better waste management. Alphonse Abongwa Achu tells us more.
Signatures penned down to change the narrative of basic necessities needed by the population of Njombe Pinja Council. It is the sweet end to a long struggle by the municipal executive to push this foreign banana company implanted in the council area to take its corporate social responsibilities.
They will benefit of water, unlike public light.
The banana plantation company is said to be the biggest contributor to the council's coffers, and the company's management has pledged to maintain this win-win relationship.
Our responsibility is to help the community and the population where we are based and to develop more. And we are a main actor in this development.
These two tractor trailers, which will help in the collection and disposal of waste across the 300 square kilometer municipality, added to the wheelbarrows, brooms, rakes, amongst others, equally came from the company. Since his re-election at the top of the Njombe Pinja municipality, Mayor Paul Erikinge has vowed that he will push all main companies of his area of command to work for the common good of all, but above all for his population.
In religion, 15 priests of the Bamenda Archdiocese have been ordained by His Grace Andrew Nkea and exhorted to guard against practices that dishonor their calling. This was at a Holy Mass where the rite for dedication and commissioning was done with prayers for the gift of the Holy Spirit and God's grace. Sylvie Banta reports on the ordination attended by Governor Adolphe Lille-Lafrique and other dignitaries.
A characteristic euphoria of priestly ordination surfaces from the Big Mancon Cathedral. But beyond the excitement, there are warnings of a difficult task that lies ahead for the new men of God.
Every priest represents Christ, and every priest in his daily life has to carry out the mysteries of Jesus Christ and bring the sacraments to the people. And in doing this, he must have integrity.
Christians are told to be spiritual companions of the 15 priests and not an obstacle in their spiritual mission.
The Christians should not help the priest in dragging him down into sin and bringing him to places where his vocation does not permit him to go.
14 out of the Reverend Fathers are drawn from the Archdiocese of Bamenda. One is from the Capuchin congregation. He insists his 10-year training at St. Thomas Aquinas Major Seminary is critical in his spiritual drive.
We continue to rely on that grace of God, that though weak we are, we may be able to live up to the expectations to bring Christ to people.
This batch of consecrated men of God has been christened the Jubilee Priests to mark 50 years of the creation of the Archdiocese of Bamenda.
On a dark note, the former Secretary of State at the Ministry of Posts and Telecommunications, Martin Mejo, has been elevated posthumously to the rank of Commander of the National Order of Valor by President Paul Biya. The burial ceremony of the statesman took place in his hometown, Fomakap, in the Centre region where Governor Nasir Paul Biya represented the head of states. Kelianda Ndifon has details of the funeral ceremony.
Fomakap, a locality in the Obala subdivision in the Centre region Saturday, was a point of convergence around one great statesman, Martin Mejo, who has bowed out after 77 years of life. Honored by traditional rites and also recognized by the head of state, who raised the late super-scale civil administrator to the rank of the dignity of the National Order of Valor and represented at the burial by the governor of the Central region, Nasir Paul Biya. The religious family has also lost a devoted Christian.
If we live for Christ. If we die for Christ. And then our life should be completely dedicated to Christ, who is Alpha and Omega of our life.
A great loss equally in other walks of life.
Joe Martin was a man, a kind person, who likes to receive others. Our council has just lost a great patriarch. He worked a lot for the development of our locality.
After the ceremony, the burial was restricted to the intimate family circles.
In sports, two former Colombian footballers, Carlos Valderrama and René Higuita, are working on the possibility to visit Cameroon soon. In a live chat with Cameroon's roving ambassador, His Excellency Roger Milla, the two football icons discussed on how the visit could be arranged and rekindle memories of the 1990 World Cup. Baldwin Sama has details of the exchange through the online customer service software live chat.
He leaves his discreet stay to confirm an appointment with Carlos Valderrama, Colombian midfielder, his opponents during the 1990 World Cup, and the appointment is online via a video live chat.
Bonjour, Carlos. Et toi?
Roger Milla is happy to reignite all-day memories.
Un énorme plaisir.
It's my pleasure chatting with Carlos today, for it reminds me of our old days.
J'avais la chair de poule.
These old friends meet many years after. Our last encounter dates back to 5 or 6 years. It was a first experience on a live chat for Roger Miller, assisted by community manager, as the chat is to prepare for an imminent arrival to Cameroon for Carlos Valderrama and René Higuita, popular for his different saves and goal consulate against Roger Miller in 1990. I wish that both of them come to Cameroon. I know that Cameroonians appreciate them a lot. His next friend to chat with, Brazilian football legend Pelé, as football legends have now used the social media to bridge the distance and get closer.
And that brings us to the end of the 7:30 News, in which you heard that the budgetary orientation document has been examined by the Finance Committee of the National Assembly. Government says the exchange mechanism with Parliament is vital to better the quality of the execution of the state budget. More news comes up at 8:30 p.m. with Atta Badine Omar. Stay home if you can. If you can't, put on your face mask each time you step out. Have a beautiful week ahead. I'll be back next weekend, God willing. Stay tuned to our programs on the CRTV. Good night.
In this connection, we should avoid stigmatizing.
CRTV News, ici, toute l'info.